Warning to young people, stay out of prison. When you really look at today's society, right? You really look at the music and the stuff that's being pushed onto young people. You got a lot of these music artists that's trying to make it look like being involved in a gang, selling drugs, being involved in all these shootings, killing rival gang members, and all these different things, right? They try to make all this stuff look like it's cool. They try to make all this stuff look like it's something that, oh, it's cool, being from the ghetto and participating in the streets is cool. But really, it's not. Really, it's not. Going to prison, there's nothing cool about it. There's nothing cool about prison. There's nothing cool about being locked up. You got so many of these men and women, but I see especially men. A lot of them are usually older men. So many videos of them on YouTube and different platforms talk about their time in prison and how they went to prison for this and how they're locked up for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. And there's so many different things, right? They talk about prison politics and prison culture. But understand this, y'all, and they be trying to tell people how to survive in prison. But I'm just going to kind of switch it around a little bit. We're not going to talk about how to survive in prison. We're going to talk about never going to prison. You see, I can confidently say as a person in my mid-20s, I've never been locked up. I've never been to prison, never been arrested a day in my life. My whole record, clean. The only thing, I've never even interacted with a police officer, never been stopped or nothing. The worst I've ever gotten was like a speeding ticket or a traffic violation. Like, let's say I went through a red light, but then the camera turned red when one of my tires was still, on the other side, and, something like that. Just basic traffic violation or a speeding ticket. Well, not even really a speeding ticket. It's mostly traffic violation, like a red light or something like that. But you get the point. I've never really even interacted with a police officer. I've never even been stopped. And this is the message that needs to be pushed out more because I'm tired of seeing all these different things. You have so many people that try to make it like it's cool going to prison. You got so many people that look at going to prison like, oh, that stuff make you a man and make you tough. It don't make you tough. When you go to prison, you are basically a slave to the state. I'll hope define this a little bit. There was a trial, about a month ago, for some guys from Florida who took out a rapper. They basically took his life back in 2024. Y'all probably know who the rapper is, but I'm not going to say his name. They basically took his life. They were on trial, because in Florida, if you don't know the rules, in Florida, the law is if someone commits first-degree murder, they either go to prison for life without parole, or they're going to get the death penalty. So these 5 men, they're basically fighting for their lives. They're fighting not to get the death penalty. They're fighting to get, life in prison. And one of them took the stand and they were just, their lawyers are trying to save his life. And they brought in a prison ward. And the prison ward basically said, we want to keep him alive because he makes good sweat equity. You see, when y'all go to prison, y'all would just basically sweat equity. The prison could use y'all to do all types of work. And guess what? The beautiful thing is they ain't got to pay you. It's not like a regular 9 to 5 or a regular 9 to 5 where your job is required to pay you by law. No, they could force you to do all this labor and work for free. Just basically modern day slavery. And y'all really want to participate in that stuff. Understand this, when you go to prison, you have no freedom. You can't watch the NFL games, the NBA games like you want to. You can't go out and go travel the world and see how people around the world living. You can't get married. For some of you men, that woman who you probably been dreaming about, you can't get married to her anymore. For some of you women, that man you've been thinking about, that you probably were attracted to, you can't get married to him no more. And you can't just basically live a comfortable life. You can't go out, you can't play the video games you want to play. You can't go out, you can't go for a nice walk or a nice run. Even you just opening your door and sitting down and sitting on your porch drinking nice tea or hot chocolate or whatever. You can't enjoy that. You can't enjoy the comfort of even having a nice bed or having your own meal. In prison, whatever they give you to eat, you gotta eat. When they say go to bed at a certain time, you gotta go to bed at a certain time. When they say wake up a certain time, you gotta wake up a certain time. Who really wants to deal with that? You are a grown adult and you gotta be told what time to get up and what time to go to bed. That's really how y'all want to live your lives? I heard about people who've been to prison. They talk about how cold some of those cells are. Y'all want to be sleeping on some hard mattress or some hard box, some hard concrete. And y'all don't even get no real peace. You're sitting there, just staring at a wall. Nothing to do. Even if they do give you a little bit of TV, your whole life is still restricted. You can't move around like you want to. You can't go on vacation. You ain't got no life. And then the thing about prison is sometimes people got, sometimes inmates, they come try to test you. Some of them try to fight you. And you even heard about stories of men turning other men out. Men making other men their so-called woman in there. Because of course there's no ladies around. You hear about all these nasty things about prison. That's really where y'all want to really go. Y'all don't want to enjoy your life. Y'all don't really participate in gang life and risk going to life for decades. Risk going to life for 20, 30, 40 years. You want to risk all of that. And you know what the crazy thing about people go to prison is the fact that all the people that you was out cool with on the outside, all your friends and many of your own family members, they gonna forget about you. Everybody talk about how loyal they are to each other and all that. The moment you go to prison, after like a good 3 months or 4 months, you're going to see those calls start to drop. People putting money for you to have a little commissary in jail, prison, I should say. Drop. The next, after 1 year, the only person that's probably left is probably your parents. And even then, there comes a point where even your parents, if you got like a long sentence, like 40 years, 50 years, a life in prison without parole, there comes a point where your parents might even just really stop coming like that because they know it's over for you. And then the thing is, if your parents pass on, then you basically left with nothing. Is that really how y'all want to really enjoy your lives? It's sitting in a cell. A sweaty cell all day. Just staring at a wall. You can't go out, you have no freedom. You gotta do whatever the prison guards tell you to do. You gotta go out there and work. I've seen videos of people in prison in certain parts of the country and around the world working in the hot sun. And then they doing all that work for no money. When y'all could just been out in the real world being law-abiding citizens, never been to prison, doing real work and all that for money, starting your own business, wherever the case is, and living a comfortable life that God gave you. But y'all choose to just go out there and engage in street activity, engage in gangs, engage in selling drugs. And then some of y'all cry and complain when it ends up turning against you. Let's see, y'all. One thing about the Most High God is that God, He gives us free will. You could use your free will to do good or you could use to do bad. You are accountable for your actions. When you stand in front of that judge and the judge they talk about giving you 40 years, 50 years of life in prison without parole or death penalty, you are responsible for your own actions. Nobody could force you to do anything. And people be like, oh, I grew up in a certain area and all this. Listen, yo. It don't matter where you grew up because you're still responsible for your actions. I did not grow up in the best area. Many of the people I know did not grow up in the best area. And guess what? We still did something great. We still made it out. At 23 years old, I graduated my master's degree. I had a bachelor's and a master's at 23. And that was just 2 years ago. Now I'm 25. That's just the reality, y'all. I had a bachelor's in marketing. I finished my bachelor's at 21. Completed my master's at 23. My master's in healthcare administration. 2 degrees, 2 different fields. I've never been to prison. I've never gotten no woman pregnant out of wedlock. I'm still a single man right now until God says otherwise. But I've never gotten no woman pregnant out of wedlock. I ain't got a bunch of women that I was sleeping with all the place. I don't have no 8 kids by no 6 different women, no. But you see, y'all, everything you do in life is choices. I'm not going out there trying to sell drugs and get involved in the streets, no. I'm 25, I never smoked or been drunk a day in my life. Never smoked or been drunk a second in my life. But see, y'all, it's all about choices. I went to a school to where my school was considered one of the worst in my city. We even had metal detectors. I remember even during my junior year of school, people even brought guns to school. Some guy brought a gun to school. I believe in 12th grade, somebody was able to bring a knife and somebody got stabbed. I went through a ghetto high school, and I was still able to survive. Never smoked, never been drunk, was not sleeping around with multiple girls in school, none of that. I was still able to graduate with a great GPA, never was involved in no gang, never had to get in no fist fight with nobody. I was able to survive. But see, y'all, it's all about choices. If y'all follow these entertainers and these artists that make like go in prison, make you real and all that, don't. Because at the end of the day, they'll promote those works to you While you are in trouble, while you're facing 20, 30, 40, and 50 years in life in prison without parole, and you're facing a death penalty, guess what? They're making those songs, the majority of them are not even involved in streets. Or if they were, they're not involved in it no more, since they're millionaires. They going right back to their big house and their big mansion while you sitting there facing decades in prison, or possibly even life, or the death penalty. Do not take advice from these entertainers and these artists. Do not listen to them. And do not listen to the people in your kind. I know a lot of kids, they go through peer pressure. Some kids, they be looked at as being lame and all that for not participating in the streets. Listen, follow the ways of God. Because when you follow the ways of God, you ain't going to be stuck in this worldly mindset. Because the world will call you this and that and that. It's about how God views you. And God's law is, and God's word, nowhere in God's word does it say, go to prison, make you a man. Make you a woman. Nope. You want to be a man, you want to be a woman, follow Jesus Christ. Do something great in your life. Go start that business that God gave you. That idea that God planted in you. That vision that God installed in you. Go do something great. Go reach souls for Christ. Go on a vacation, enjoy a nice country. Go to a nice hotel. I'm not talking about going out to sin, like sleep around. I'm just talking about going out and explore different parts of the world. Living a comfortable life. Go out for a nice run. Go out for a nice jog. Go out for a nice walk in the park. Go to a nice movie. Go hit the gym. Go pump some iron. Go do something. But you can live a nice and happy life. See, me, I have no desire to be involved in the streets because I don't have no time to be having no police on my back. I don't have no time to look over my shoulder every 10 seconds. I'm not even sure how y'all relive that life. Y'all could never be comfortable. I've seen videos of people to where there's gangs literally just blocks away from each other. I remember there's a gang in a certain city, I'm not going to name the city, to where them and the rival gangs are literally like a 2-minute walk from each other. They're separated only by like 1 or 2 blocks. Imagine living 1 or 2 blocks away from people that want to take your life. Me, I ain't got no time for that. I'd rather live an ordinary life. I ain't got no time for that. I'd rather live my life for most of God, because how he views me is what's most important. Because when I stand in front of God in Judgment Day, ain't about let's talk about this and that. Nope, it's going to be how God views me. That's going to be most important. The streets is going to lead a lot of y'all to a lake of fire, because it promotes nothing but sin and the kingdom of darkness. It promotes nothing but murder, robbery, breaking in houses, drugs, gang violence. All that stuff going to lead y'all to a lake of fire. Going to lead you right to hell when you die. And yet y'all want to get involved in something like that. You want to participate in Satan's kingdom. Nope. Not me. I'm enjoying the one life that God gave me. Because listen, y'all, God gave you only one life. You're supposed to live it for him. And me, I'm going to live my life for most of God. I'm going to live a comfortable life. And when I say comfortable, I'm not talking about sitting there like going out partying, drinking, and nope. I'm talking about living a comfortable life for God. I'm talking about following God's commandments. Going out to a nice vacation every now and then. Going out for a nice jog in the park. A nice 2, 3, or 4 mile jog. Going out for a nice walk. Watching a nice movie in my house. See, I ain't got no time for prison. Y'all gotta sit there. Some of y'all don't have no TV. You gotta sit there in the cell. Then many of them end up having regrets because they be like, wow, I did this crime and look, I'm facing 50 years in prison. All over nonsense. And half these people who went to prison, majority of them, the crimes could have easily been avoided. Situational awareness is something that needs to get talked about more. Majority of people who were in prison, they were in there for a situation that could have easily been avoided. What kind of news do people go to prison for? You got men shooting other men because that man took his girlfriend. Woman, if that shows a woman not loyal, just go find another woman who's loyal and get married to her. People go in prison over a fight. One person want to pull out a gun because they're losing a fist fight. Now you go in prison for life. When y'all could just either walked away, or you could have defended yourself, and then you both live to see another day. People go in prison for road rage. You want to shoot somebody just because, they must have did a traffic violation, like pull out in front of you, or they must have did something to you. And now you want to go to prison for 50 years behind that? Me, I ain't got time for that, yo. I ain't got time for it. I could sit here in my house watching my nice, comfortable movie. I ain't never going to prison. I'm enjoying my life. Anybody tell you go in prison to make you a man? Guess what? When you stuck there and you sit in that cell for 40, 50, and 60 years and you serve in life, or you possibly in death row, all them people who are saying that, they probably out there living their life. Or the same people saying that, they might not even live long. Because people usually got that mentality, they usually ignorant. And you know how ignorant people are. They either end up in the same situation like you, or they go and get themselves hurt. And always remember, think about the people that's most important to you. Your mom, your dad, and more importantly, think about God. I mean, you in prison, you can still get saved and still, reach other prisoners for God. But guess what? You'll be more effective in the real world because you could move around, you could reach more people rather than you just being in a prison cell. And think about your parents, how your parents gonna feel. Always remember, when you go to prison and all that stuff, it don't affect you, it affects your family too. Imagine that. Your mom got you get sentenced to 30, 40, and 50 years. Your dad got see it. If you got siblings, they got see it. Your family got see it. Your friends got see that. You think that's easy for them? No. That stuff hurts. And yet y'all want to go participate in that? Me? I ain't got time for you. I'm gonna enjoy my life that God gave me. Y'all want to jump in that stuff. And the thing is, some of y'all been told this over and over and over again. Some of y'all, especially y'all young people, y'all be like, no, I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna do what I want. Guess what? You want to do you? It's going to end up costing you. It's going to end up costing you your freedom. Now you gotta stay in a cold cell for the rest of your life. And especially you being a man, you tell me you don't want to get married to a nice, beautiful woman and have a nice family. You want to sit in a cell, as nasty, sweaty cell around other men? That just don't sound right to me. But nevertheless, y'all, stay out of prison, keep your record clean, y'all. Young people, young men, young women, keep your record clean. Have a blessed day and take care.